lot of you have been requesting for the Yamaha Tenere 700 for quite some time now. And believe me when I say that we've been trying to get our hands on one since the bike arrived in Philippine shores almost a year ago with very little luck. Until now. Now, if I sound like I'm a little bit biased because I absolutely love the bike, well, it's because I am and I do. Because this is my personal bike. So instead of a normal review, I thought we'd do something a little bit different. I'll tell you why I bought it, what I love about it, and also what I don't love about it in this episode of Beyond the Ride. The T7 arrived in Philippine shores in the first quarter of 2021 and has been a huge hit ever since. It's powered by one of the best engines around, the same powertrain that brings to life the MT-07 and the XSR900. The 689cc liquid-cooled dual overhead cam cross-plane parallel twin engine that punches out 73 horsepower at 9,000 RPM and 68 Nm of torque at 6,500 RPM. Stopping power is provided by hydraulic dual discs up front and a single disc at the rear. It's got Brembo calipers and of course ABS, which you can switch off when you go off-road. Keeping bumps at bay, you got an upside-down telescopic fork up front with 210mm of travel and a swing arm at the rear with 200mm of travel. Now, size does matter with the wheels and tires. You have 21 at the front, 18 at the back. Of course, you get spoke wheels and it comes with Pirelli Scorpion Rally STRs. For my purposes, maybe the best tires. Now, if you're gonna go off-road, maybe you wanna use knobbier tires. And if you're gonna use the bike primarily on the road, well, you can get a little bit more street-oriented tires. But for me, the STRs really work fantastic. The standard seat height is on the tall side, 880mm. Probably not ideal for somebody 5'6" with a 764mm inseam. Because if you're stuck in city traffic, especially in Manila, and you have to put your foot down often, you kind of have to ride with one butt cheek off most of the time. Also, if you're in the trail, it makes it a little difficult not to be able to reach the ground easily. So I sacrificed the clearance to be able to ride the bike easier. Now, I did lower the seat in 3 different ways. The first one was to lower the front forks a little bit. That's why there's a little bit of a gap here from the top. I also used a different seat, and this serves as dual purpose. It's not only more comfortable, it's also, well, it makes the seat height a little bit lower. Now, the most significant thing I did was I installed the lowering link down low, which I purchased at Revzilla. All in all of those adjustments, well, it lowered the seat height by about maybe 2 inches or so, which is okay. Now, some of you are probably thinking, why are you gonna get a T7 if you're just gonna lower the bike? Well, for my purposes, which is to ride a bike far, ride a bike in some road-less travel situations, and not really go full Paul Tares with the bike anyway, I think it's pretty fine. So now, with my height and the bike a little bit lowered, as you can see, I'm still tiptoeing. The wet weight of the bike is only 204 kilograms, which, if you think about it, should be very manageable. However, it is a little bit top heavy. You feel the weight somewhere up here. Unlike the KTM 790 Adventure or the GS of BMW, the weight is down here in the bottom, which makes it a lot easier to maneuver in low-speed situations. This, in low-speed situations, when the road is a little bit uneven or when you're in the trail and it's a little bit higher, well, your skill level has to be a lot better because it's a little bit on the high side. And because you can't really reach the ground as well, at least I can't, I need to be really careful about how I ride this thing on the trail. Having said that, you're probably gonna add a little bit more weight to the bike with some crash guards, which will protect the engine as well as the body panel right here. Also, you're probably gonna end up putting a luggage rack, so that's gonna add more weight. And the luggage rack for the back actually serves 2 purposes. Not only will you put luggage on the racks, it will also kind of protect the exhaust. And the reason why that's important is because the exhaust is actually connected to the frame of the bike. And if it falls and your frame is damaged, well, that could be a little bit of a big headache. The fuel tank capacity is only 16 liters. For an adventure bike, that's really not that much. However, you can, depending on how you ride, of course, get around 21 to 25 kilometers per liter, which is actually pretty good. The stock exhaust of the T7 actually isn't bad. And I thought I wasn't a loud pipes saves lives type of guy anymore until I tried this on. It's an Orion exhaust, and when I tried it on, I was sold. Let me know what you think. The ergonomics of the T7 is really my preferred seating position. I feel like I have a commanding presence and can control the bike really well. Some people prefer sport bikes, some like cruisers. This is really more me. The controls are where I want them to be. The handlebars are just the right height as well. The foot pegs are really good. You can take the rubber off if you're going to do a little, tougher trails. And of course, the rubber is there for when you're on the streets, or especially the highway. But I can stand on the pegs really easily because, well, when you're riding the T7, you're gonna find yourself standing a lot while riding this bike. This is an aftermarket seat. The stock seat is okay, but after a couple of hours, it'll hurt your bum. This is more comfy, and as I mentioned earlier, also lowers the seat height a tad bit. I really like the styling of this bike. It kinda looks like the Dakar rally bike. Well, of course, that's the foundation of the Tenere. That's when it was born for the Paris-Dakar Rally, going back to, 1979 to 1980 or so. And I do love the headlight. Look at that thing, or should I say headlights. But I just love the presence of the bike when you look at it from the front, when you look at the profile. The back is a little bit too slim, but that's really nitpicking a little bit. But the profile, the side of the bike is beautiful. The front of the bike is even more gorgeous. In my opinion, among ADVs, the T7 is top 3 in terms of looks, along with the Multistrada of Ducati and the Pan America of Harley-Davidson. Honda's Africa Twin is number 4 in terms of looks. Well, for me at least, okay? I really love the feel of this bike. It's got loads of usable torque, it's got very good power, can hang with some of the bigger bikes on the expressway, and can really go way past where the road ends. The handling and low-speed maneuvers is really fantastic. Now, I can't say that I'm perfect at it, but if you watch Poltares and some of the other videos online, you can understand what this bike can really do. I'm probably going at about, 30% of the capacity of what this bike can do. So why did I purchase this bike? Well, I bought the bike because I wanted a motorcycle that I can ride for long distances and also take it on some dirt roads. Now, I don't intend to go super hardcore enduro style riding, but I just want to be able to go off the beaten path and improve my skills in that surface. I felt that among its competition in the middleweight ADV category, it really checks off pretty much all the things I want. Comfort, with the new suite especially, looks, power, reliability, good value for money. With all due respect to the Versys 650 and the V-Strom, which are both awesome machines, the T7 spoke to me more. In my opinion, it does have a little bit more cool factor than the other two. I was attracted to it more for sure. Now, of the premium brands like the middleweight KTM 790 Adventure or 890 Adventure, the middleweight GS, and maybe the Tiger 660 of Triumph, I felt that this was a little bit more rugged and easier to maintain. The T7 is very basic. There's really no riding modes except for off-road, which really all that does is turn off the ABS. And there's no cruise control. It doesn't even have traction control. But I like the simplicity of the bike. Now, if you look at the dash, it does give you all the information that you need, but nothing more. It's really simple. I do wish it didn't vibrate as much as it did when you're riding the bike, but aside from that, I think it's absolutely, you know, what you need, and that's fine. It's completely okay with me. I don't really need all the information and the stuff that's in the, you know, in the TFT displays and some of the other bikes in the ADV market. There are people out there who ask me, why didn't I buy a BMW? Why not a Triumph? Why not a Ducati? Well, you know, I just don't think of a bike as a status symbol of sorts, right? I mean, Yamaha is one of the best motorcycle manufacturers in the world. It's either one or two. I mean, it depends on who you ask. And sometimes people kind of use their bikes as a, I don't know, I say social status, so to speak. But the T7 kind of doesn't deal with that. It's kind of like, you know, this is me. This is me and my rugged self. Take it or leave it. And that's part of the draw for me with this bike. Now, I've heard some people say that the suspension needs to be changed, which honestly, I find a little strange because I think it's really good. But I have to give some kind of context. I'm about 145 pounds. With my gear on and the luggage plus the crash bars, you can probably add about another 15 pounds or so, give or take. So at about 160 pounds, I think the suspension out of the showroom is absolutely fine. But if you don't like it, you can still adjust it anyway. So what are my complaints about the bike? Well, despite all the things I love about this bike, you know, there are some shortcomings, or maybe tallcomings, I should say. It's a little bit on the tall side, especially for the Philippine market. It's kind of top heavy. I wish the tank was a little bit bigger, but if the tank was bigger, it would be even heavier and even be more top heavy. Now, there's also been some debates whether or not it's a good thing that this doesn't have tubeless tires. Now, I would have preferred to have tubeless tires. Like I said, I don't intend to be super hardcore with this off-roading, where you're trying to fix a tubeless tire in the jungle would be really almost mission impossible. So I would have preferred to have tubeless tires on this bike for my purposes. So who do I think would want to buy this bike? Well, I think someone who likes the adventure segment but is in denial of aging. Yeah, no, okay, in all seriousness, I can see really anyone wanting this. Totally fine with riding in the city. It's not too big that it's impossible to filter. It's actually okay, not great, but it's okay. You just have to be careful when you filter, because you have to keep in mind of the height of the bike and the weight of the bike as well. But if you're gonna ride this on the highway, you're gonna take it off the beaten path on some trails, you know, this thing can go pretty much anywhere. So yeah, if that kind of appeals to you, you know, and if you like the styling, and if it's within your budget, yeah, I think it's gonna appeal to people like that. So I've taken this bike, well, many places already, a lot of long rides. I've ridden it to Lobo, which has a lot of highway and a lot of off-roading as well. And I felt that this bike was perfect for it. It handled the twisties extremely well. It handled of course, the off-road segment of the route that we took to Lobo was fantastic as well. And, you know, we were by the water, we were by the mountains. You know, we didn't really do some river crossing in that particular ride, but I think that this, you know, I think that this bike would definitely handle that no problem whatsoever. We also took this to Gulugod Baboy in Mabini, and going up and down the hills was such a breeze. Basically, wherever I've gone with this bike, I've always had a smile on my face. Well, maybe not in traffic, but you know what I mean. It's really one of those bikes that when I'm riding it, I always enjoy it. And it's kind of making me want to go further. Like, I've been to Lobo with this bike, I've been to Mabini with this bike, I've gone through some of the back roads in Tanay, but it makes me want to go further, even further. So I just feel like it's comforting to know that if and when I go further with the bike, especially in the off-road part, that the bike will be able to handle it. I gotta get my skills up to that level though. All right, so the last thing I want to talk about is actually the side stand. Because I lowered the bike, and it is lowered by roughly, I don't know, close to 2 inches or so, the side stand is still of the normal height. And because of that, if you notice, the bike is a little bit too upright. So I kind of either need a shorter side stand or find a way to, I guess, make this go out a little bit more just so that it leans a little bit more to the left. Okay, so like I said in the beginning, if I sounded biased towards the T7, it's because I am. However, it's not a perfect bike, but the good heavily outweighs the not so good. Considering the type of bike this is and what the competition is like, I honestly think this is such a great deal at a price tag of 619,000 Philippine pesos. For more information about the T7 and some great deals on some other MCs, log on to www.motodeal.com.ph. This has been Jinno. Hope you guys enjoyed. Go and be on the ride.